Hi, it's Sherry Kalergis live from Vancouver with At 45, the online magazine for women who are 45 plus, who are looking to live their most amazing life. And all women, as we age, we're looking to have more in our life, more laughter, fun, and fulfillment. And we deserve it. And the magazine is supporting you as you learn how to have it. And we're so excited to have a new project underway, Fabulous University. And we have a 21-day challenge to reconnect with the fabulous you. So check it out. It's at fabulous, YOUNIVERSITY.com. So today we are talking with a wonderful woman that I've connected in the magazine over and over again through the years. Maria Conde is from Vancouver, but is in Winnipeg now, and she is a life and business strategist. She guides successful women who are feeling unfulfilled and burnt out, and we can all identify with that, to take the leap to build a life and business of their dreams. So, welcome, Maria.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you for having me today. This is wonderful.
So, is there snow in Winnipeg?
Yeah. Not a lot, though. Not a lot. I'm surprised. Everyone said, and it's really mild, which is lovely.
Well, I've always loved Winnipeg. I went to a most fabulous spa there
Oh,
a number of years
yes.
ago, and I never forgot it. So, unfortunately, Winnipeg's a little off the beaten track from Vancouver.
Yeah.
So I haven't got back there yet, but that was a wonderful experience. So today we're going to be talking about productivity. And coming into the new year, I mean, we all are making, well, we're all making new goals for the next year. And considering 2020, I think anything we can do to help ourselves is a
Exactly.
good thing. So, how do you personally prepare for the new year, Maria?
Well, I have sort of two New Years in my world. My birthday is in July, so I do a lot of my prep work actually in July, and I do sort of the same thing in January. So I do it twice a year, actually.
That breaks the year up and makes it much easier. You only have 6 months
It
to
does.
look forward.
I kind of use my birthday as my goal setting going forward. And because I'm a life coach and I do this all the time, I always have sort of that 5 or 10 year vision. So for me, it's just more a matter of revisiting and looking at what's worked in the past. And I do this with my clients too. When you look, going forward, what worked this year and what didn't. And this year a lot of people had to do a lot of pivoting and make a lot of changes and do things maybe they didn't want to do or they had to take a different way. So, going into 2021, we've learned a lot in 2020. And so taking those lessons and trying to, we might have to get back on our vision or, maybe we've liked how we've had to pivot. And so, doing a big reflection of this year to find the wins is a really big, important thing. And acknowledging all the things that went well, because there's a lot of things that didn't go well.
Oh, that is true. So I like that thought about pivoting worked well for a lot of women,
Yeah,
and I really think that that is something that it's been a benefit in some ways to this trying year because often we're in our comfort zone, and you know, I think this having to do things differently
yeah.
really did move some women forward a lot quicker than they would have thought they could move.
Absolutely. And a lot of people have come to a place where things had to change in their world. And they're like, oh, you go through the drama at first. The person I'm thinking, I have was working with a nurse. She's been a nurse for 28 years. She actually lost her job this year, right when her husband retired, and she wasn't ready to retire. And so, but after that initial shock and madness and all the stuff that happens when you go through that, she's sitting back now and going, wow, I can do whatever I want now. My husband's retired, my kids are out of home, and now it's time for me. And what can I do now? And so that's, what we're working through, with the visioning and things like that for her next, I call it an encore career.
That's a
And
good way to put it.
yeah, so it's just, for her, it's like, it was hard at first because she was very angry and, bitter and all those things. But now, a couple months later, she goes, wow, this is a really good thing. And she can see it as a positive now and can take the right actions to move forward in her life and doing something she's going to love still.
Well, and that's what I always like about New Year's. It's an opportunity to look forward
Yeah,
and
exactly.
move towards something that's fresh.
Yes, exactly. And I do have a whole bunch of my own little rituals that I do every year because I like my angel cards and all kinds of stuff. But I have, those are my own personal things, but I encourage people to do that too, to find a ritual on, surrounding moving into a new year, um, to make it more impactful as opposed to just writing down goals. Because when you do that, it's got to have more significant meaning to you and stuff, right? So
Absolutely, that's a good point. So, what is a key focus of Leap to Freedom?
Leap to Freedom. Leap to Freedom is one of my programs I came up with this year, but LEAP actually is an acronym, and it stands for your life vision, executing a strategic plan, achieving the right mindset, and then, of course, productivity. And productivity is around, for me and my clients, is around time freedom. Because, if you, especially if you come out of a corporate job, which was a lot of my clients have, or out of, a work world, traditional work world, going into being an entrepreneur, you don't want to be going like from the frying pan into the fire, working a 40-hour week to working an 80-hour week. You want to be on that more time freedom side of things and doing what brings you joy. So, it's a lot of it's around letting go of things, and we can dive into that in a bit. But that's the premise of it. That my clients, it's really about taking that encore career and making something really big impact. It is things that give you purpose, and it's not so much more about trying to get by, or when you're young, you're trying to get a house and the kids and all that sort of stuff. A lot of my clients are obviously over 45 and a lot of them over 50. And it's about, well, it's me time now. And what do I want to do?
Well, I love the acronym and I love the thought. You know, action, like once you get to a certain point where you are focusing on yourself, sometimes I think it's easy not to take an action, not
Yeah,
to take a leap, right? You're
totally.
thinking, oh, like it's sort of safe and sound now. Things are a little bit less stressful, so let's just coast, right?
Yeah,
So I really like that thought.
yeah.
It's a great one. So what are like the five most common barriers to productivity that you've seen through your work?
When I think of this, the first thing that comes to mind on productivity is scrolling the internet. And we all do it, right? You just,
Absolutely.
especially this year, because we have to be online so much for our businesses. And, I do a lot of my work is through social media. So it's easy to hop on there and then you see something, you click the button and you're over here and you're over here and you're over here. And then an hour has gone by and you're like, oh, darn, I didn't send that email. So
And
that's
I
the
didn't
first.
even do on social media what I was going to do.
Exactly, exactly. I was supposed to put up a post about gratitude today. That didn't happen either, right? So, and it's really easy to have that happen. But there's also, for me, I look at even before I get to my computer, is setting up the day for being productive. And I love to do visualizations for my day. So as soon as I wake up, I want to say, okay, what's on my agenda today? Because I've looked at it the night before. So it's like, okay, I have an interview today. So how do I want that interview to unfold? And try and stay out of, the catastrophizing modes that we can get into, especially if you have to make a challenging phone call or something, because that can waste a lot of time when we put a lot of emotional and time energy into thinking things that have not happened. But if you constantly have that mindset of having a positive outcome for your day, the day goes by way smoother. And then you're on target, on track, and things move. And it helps you hold yourself a little bit more accountable because you've sort of set it up for the day that this is how you want it to unfold. So that's number two. The third thing that I think of often is about multitasking. And I'm actually writing another article about this right now, about multitasking, because, if you're a type A personality like myself, we want to do 9 things at once, but it's proven that you're actually significantly less productive when you do that. It's like 40% less productive.
Well, I've sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah, no,
I've actually heard that there's no such thing as multitasking. It's
very true.
something we say, but each time you have to move your
You
mind
do.
to something else, you
Yes.
have quit everything else. So I really like that one.
And your brain has to fully re-engage every time you move over, right?
Yeah.
And then nothing gets done really well. Everything's sort of mediocre. But if you just focus on it and give it your all, and then things just flow, and then you move on to the next task. So that's number 3. And this next one, to number 4, that I come across a lot is a lot for more towards entrepreneurs. And that is not outsourcing soon enough or getting help. And even in your own home, if you happen to be a person at home and wanting to be doing more things or bigger things, is not outsourcing some of those tasks that take up your time that maybe you don't need to be doing. Maybe they don't bring you joy.
Oh, I think that's a big one, Maria. Excellent that you brought that up because so many women, especially as entrepreneurs, and we have this innate sense that we need to learn how to do anything before we can give it to somebody to do. And when you are maybe a sole entrepreneur and you're trying to accomplish what it is that you've set out to do, which is sell whatever product you're selling, then many of us miss that if we go and try and learn how to Instagram properly or be the guru of Facebook or even simple things like writing articles, then all of a sudden we have taken our focus off
Yeah,
our whole being, which was sell my product. So that's a
exactly.
really good one. I like that.
Yeah. And the last one is not having a clear vision. And this is really important because if you don't have a clear vision, you spend a lot of time doing all sorts of things that really are not driving to where you want to go. And in my programs, that's the first thing we go into is having a clear vision. That's one of my biggest things about, it's like having a roadmap, right? You can get from Vancouver to Ottawa. You could get there without a map, but I mean, you're going to get there way faster if you actually have some directions and a map, right? And a plan.
Well, not only that, but that you've decided that Ottawa is where you
Ottawa's the
want to
place,
go.
yeah. Otherwise, you're just getting in your car and you're driving, right? And you're
Absolutely.
being busy, but not productive then at that point.
Yes. No, another really good one. Those are great food for thought and for us to consider as we're trying to create more productivity in our lives. And productivity, often we think that is meant only for business, but productivity in our personal life is just as important.
Huge. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, what do you find are, I would want to say, I guess, um, what are 2 things that come out of success stories that um, you you've dealt with in your business?
Yeah. One of the things that comes to mind first and foremost, I mean, this has been a tough year for a lot of people, a really tough year. And, one of my recent meetings with one of my clients, she was hugely overwhelmed. We went through all the visioning, we set all our, the goals, and we had all the plans, and we had it all set out. And some other stuff happened in her life, and she got very overwhelmed because she's that type A personality and she's got to do, right? And so we came together and I said, but that's okay. You don't have to do that. And I gave her permission to let it go and take some steps back. And I believe that slow and steady wins the race better. And, one of my things that I came up with this year that I go to over and over is taking little leaps. And when you take smaller steps in the constant, consistent direction, it's better than just trying to take a big leap and getting overwhelmed, stressed out, and burnt out. Because that's, it's a journey, and you want to enjoy the journey on the way there.
Well, that's so true. I mean, if we hit a barrier and we sabotage ourselves so that we aren't enjoying the journey, then like what's the use of that? I
Yeah.
think we all want to feel happy, and to feel happy means to achieve something, to be able to focus on the joyful things around you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And with her, she needed to, give herself permission to slow down and be okay with where she was at. But still, because what had happened is it made her inactive. When you get that overwhelmed, we stop the train, right? Like, it's like, I can't do
Sure.
this. But, it's like, okay, but what's one little step you can take? You don't have to take those 95 steps we laid out for the next 5 years. But today, what can you do? And then we got it down to, okay, I just have to do that. Yeah, you just have to do that. It's okay. But it's still moving her in the direction she wanted to go, but it's not overwhelming her.
Absolutely. So what do you think is the most important thing when you are feeling overwhelmed? So you said take one step, but often when people feel overwhelmed, they aren't able to see that step.
Next
So
step.
so what's a way that a woman can assess
Yeah.
one step that's important to give her that feeling of being
Yeah.
productive?
Yeah.
Sorry, the words escape me there.
Yeah,
To
that's okay.
be productive so that she gets some self confidence to take
Yeah.
another step.
Because I get overwhelmed pretty easy too. I'm that type A personality that likes a multifaceted entrepreneur that wants to do a million things. And every once in a while, I have to step back. I have to clear the clutter because, when you get too many projects going and I need to get things organized. So I take some time to actually sort out my mess. And I do some self care. I make sure I get out for a walk. I start looking after myself a little bit better
Yeah.
and getting into some meditation to sort of get grounded again. So that, and then that path starts showing itself because then you're a little bit kinder on yourself too, right? You're not beating yourself up
Right.
all the time. And, if you step back a little bit, then you can often see what that next little step is. And, breaking it down, we set these big goals, but they don't have to, what is one thing I can do today? And it could be looking after yourself could be the best thing that you can do for your future self.
So that's a really good approach. If you're feeling overwhelmed, to sort of stop the noise
Yeah.
and give yourself permission to stop everything and take a while to just be.
Yeah. And
And
not too long though. Yeah.
but one thing I was going to say too is often, and I feel this often myself. That's why I want to speak to it. Often we think that being quiet and taking some self care time is not the action, the participation in our life. So, oh, we're missing something, right?
Yeah, that's the
But
guilt kicking
really,
in.
exactly, our
Yeah.
purpose is to enjoy every moment, whether that's self care, whether it's, a bath, a bubble bath, sitting and reading a book, or whatever, gets you feeling that, by taking time, it's not saying, oh, I'm not doing something important. It really is important.
Yeah. And women need to remember that you can't serve the world and your community and your family when you're on empty.
Yeah.
And you need to have your cup overflowing, and then everybody else gets the excess that's coming out of that cup, basically. And if you're running on empty all the time, you're not serving anybody really well at that point. Because you're going to probably be
Absolutely.
a little bit cranky, or you're not doing your best job, or you're just doing it to get by. You're not happy, and that shows up in your energy around you. And even if you're attracting clients to you and stuff like that, think about if you're on empty all the time, the people that you're going to be attracting.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So share one success story with us, somebody that you've worked with and you've seen them be able to facilitate an amazing change in their life.
You know, I think it's, probably the biggest one is somebody who's actually, I don't want to use names, and they're building a charitable foundation. And I love watching that unfold. And it's really, every week it's about tackling fears and, going from, because this person stepped out of a world that they were very comfortable in, going into a whole space they have no idea how it's going to be. Well, they do now because it's getting there, right? But, and it's coming to life, and it's, as much as it's exhilarating for her, it's scary too, right? And yeah, that's my, the biggest one. That's because I love working with people about purpose and stuff like that. Over the years, I've done lots of things on money
And
coaching,
personal growth to like
personal growth.
move from one place to another.
Yeah, I did a lot on money coaching and things like that. So I see these people that, can get, I find myself a catalyst often for people, especially my former programs are very short. So I didn't get a chance to really see the transformation to like a year later sort of thing, right? Where they're actually taking that little bit that we worked on. And I can see them a year later and they're blossoming in their business because they've got confidence and they've got the money mindset in order. And because they're able to charge a proper price for their services now. Those are the ones that are really fun to see, but those take a while to come to fruition because a lot of the mindset work doesn't happen necessarily immediately.
Okay, so one thing about productivity that was making me think of is the fact that you sometimes can't see the results of
Yeah,
productivity. It's a long-term thing, but those
yeah,
little baby steps that you were talking about earlier
yeah,
are the productivity piece that grows as it moves.
yes. And it's not just productivity too, it's a multifaceted approach. It's when you think about even your own personal growth, it's not just one thing, right? It's,
Yeah.
leap is about a whole bunch of things combined to actually get you there.
So
But
tell us about the LEAP program.
the LEAP program is a 6-month, um, it's set up as a group coaching program, but I put a lot of emphasis on one-to-one in there too, because I really believe every individual woman needs a little bit of loving. And so we do come together as a group, but also on a one-to-one basis. And it is with the acronym, the LEAP, about your vision and productivity and mindset and strategy. We do all of that. We do some deep visualizations. And it's all about, it's for those people that want to make that change and take a leap and have a big impact in the world and do something that's major. And, a lot of the people that I work with are people that, it is an encore career. It's not necessarily that they're trying to grow in their existing career. They want to do something different that stretch them out of their comfort zone. And, sometimes it is volunteer based, or it could be writing a book, for instance, or, just something that's taking them out of like they're afraid to do, right? Because we do cover off fear quite a bit in there too.
Right.
And there's a huge dose of self-care with it because I really believe self-care is key for us and our success.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So how can people get a hold of you, Maria?
The best way to get a hold of me is my website is mariaconde.com. Real
Okay.
easy.
And if you're watching this video, Maria also has an article in the magazine. So if you go to at45.com and search her name, Maria Conde, Conde, you will find her article in there with all her contact information also.
Of course, yeah.
So I always like to ask, what a personal question.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if there's a piece of learning that has stood the test of time for you.
I don't think there's one specific piece of learning. For me, my personal foundation is having it's about being a lifelong learner and constantly evolving. And so I don't know if there's actually one piece that has stayed with me my whole life or from a younger age,
Yeah.
because I'm constantly growing and learning. And, maybe it is that belief that I want to always learn and grow and serve at a different and a higher level all the time.
Well, I think that it's key to having a full life,
Yeah.
right? By constantly learning. You're again moving outside of your comfort zone
Yeah.
and exploring other things. So that's important. Now, what is some of the best advice you've ever got?
The best advice, on a personal level, I think one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from one of my former coaches. This was many, many years ago. And I had coached with her for many years. And she had sat me down on my birthday. We'd go out for lunch every year on my birthday. She goes, and I'm rambling on about all the things that are happening. And she goes, "Can I stop you for a minute?" She goes, "When was the last time you actually celebrated any of your successes and actually stopped and actually just enjoyed what you've accomplished in your life?" And I realized I hadn't. I was always constantly striving for the next and the next and not ever acknowledging or taking ownership of what I've actually done. And so now it's, because this is about having joy in your life and about enjoying the journey. And so I do that more myself now, obviously. And actually, I try and instill that in my clients that this is a journey. It's not just about an end place, right? You set a goal and you get there, and okay, what's the next goal? You get there. It's life, right? It's there to be enjoyed, and you need to celebrate your successes. And I actually built that into. I've authored a gratitude and success journal. So every day, it's in there that you have to say your 3 successes from the previous day to try and remember that all the time.
That is so powerful, because I know it just resonated with me because I seldom think about my success or what
Yeah,
I've accomplished. I'm always focused on what I haven't accomplished.
yeah. What's next on the
So
list?
that, yeah. So that's a great closeout too. So as women now are trying to, focus on the next year and plan
Yeah,
their next year, but we want them to also sit down and say, before you
absolutely.
do that planning, before you decide what productivity you need to implement in your life, sit down and celebrate your successes of 2020. And even though it was a
Absolutely.
horrible year
Yeah,
for everyone, there are definitely successes in there.
for sure. Absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for sharing with us today, Maria. It's been really fun to hear about productivity and to hear more about taking that leap to freedom, which uh, every woman wants.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me today.